Okay, we're back to try again. We gonna have a kickstart. Let's do this. So let's first we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put into my control modifiers some salaries for each position. Now, my control modifiers are loaded as just basically they're the tweaking, the gear knobs, the settings of the game. And at some point, I'm gonna have to create me a control system for setting these. But for now, they're all set in the system initiator. So I have this guy. And we have general. And we're just going to have to do something like I have for seasons, I think. It's going to be the year and position. And it has to be based actually, you know what? That's games in season. I'm going to have like It's going to be an interesting conundrum. I'm going to have to figure out how to trying to decide if I need to sort it, right? I think I don't. I think I'm just going to have average, we'll just have it by position. So we're going to say, I need to have a cap, a range, and an average. Do I need to base it on average or do I want to base it on max? How many need to store min, max, and average? By position. Because I need a range. No, maybe I don't need an average. What I need are min and max. Honestly, I probably only need a max. I guess min is just the way to, is the league minimum. And I don't think anybody's going to hit league minimum and very few will have the league maximum. But I think that's just it. I think I just need what is the league? All right, let's just say salaries. Okay, so we're going to go salary. How about this? Position salary. Then we're going to go How's that look? Those are pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to use those, but they'll be good starting points. QB, running back, wide receiver, tight end, offensive line, defensive line. I'm not going to do this yet. I'm actually going to break it up. Like, I'm not sure why certain positions or certain things are higher. League minimum salary. And that's not right either, but we will put something in because it's got to be, I'm going to do something like so. And I'll just adjust them as time goes on. We'll let them increase over time along with the NFL or whatever it is. So right now, this is kind of what they are. League minimum, let's just do league. Let's actually, because this is a control modifier and it's small and I know what it means. I'm gonna go league min salary by experience. We're gonna say nope. We're gonna say sure. That's not right. I mean, it's guessing stuff, but that's fine. I don't need it all. We're gonna say rookie. We'll just make it easy. 795. Okay. It's 1 to 3 years, but this is supposed to be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 to 6 years, and 7+ years. 4 to 6 is 1.1. 1125. 3 is 1055. 985. Use real numbers, man. You gotta use real numbers. That's what the whole game is gonna be based on, man. 915. 7+ years. 210. Better see if I'm needed for unloading vehicles. Nope. There's been no request for me to help unload vehicles. Okay, so we got now I got to put in position salaries. I guess I'll just go with this one for now. It doesn't really matter. Actually, it comes down to what I want. I got to do a league salary cap. And I'm always going to be at the most current salary cap, so we're just going to say current league salary cap. For 2025, what is the league salary cap? Use real numbers. Here you go. Whew. That's actually pretty close, right? Yeah. 200. Oh, this only has 208 million. 279 million. That's a big salary cap. Hey, oh man, I am getting behind now. Now they're going all. Now they're keeping up.
Yeah.
I've got like four versions. Oh, this is the thing. Okay. I gotta try and repair my dryer today. I am now 4 comics behind. I got some serious reading to do. My absolute Superman. They were like, for a long time, they weren't sending them to me. Or they had skipped like they went like 3 months on sending them to me. And then all of a sudden, 7, 8, 9, I got 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 right here. And I haven't read them. Actually, I think I read 6, but I haven't read 7, 8, 9, or 10. So, and I still have to finish my Superman Warworld saga, which I'm only 60% through. It's a big one. It's pretty good though. He's on another planet. You know, Warworld, which is not Darkseid. It's Mongol. Mongol or mongrel? No, it's Mongol. He's a mongrel. Mongol is a mongrel, but he's not a very nice guy. Anyway. Snacks. Honestly, these look like kidney beans. No. Let's see. This is dark chocolate covered cashews. I should do everything in millions, but I could do these in K also. Or I could do my league minimum salaries in millions. But then you have like weird amounts. It's nice to have all my numbers be in the same logic though. That's okay. It's really just by adding on some extra zeros, right? But at least my numbers if I'm adding and subtracting them, I just add 3 zeros to what the end total is. $279,200,000. 279,200,000. It's a lot of cojones. All right, so now I got to figure out. Let's go ahead and put my position stuff in here. So QB, if we were to go by QB, and we also said by K, these are all going to be millions. Just adding. I don't know. I guess I don't need to have exact. But then what I'll probably do is round up for a lot of these. Let's just round them up. Let's round them out. So, all right, so for QB, we'll say 11 million. I won't have anybody at that level anyway, because nobody gets to be a max. $11 million is 11,000 K, right? Right. And then running backs would be 9,000 K. Oh wait, no, I'm doing that wrong. We're gonna say tackle. I'm not gonna have left and right tackle. I don't know why. So the reason is that left tackles make so much more than right tackles is because they're protecting the blind side of the quarterback. Generally speaking. Left-handed quarterback, it might be a little different, but generally a right-handed quarterback has got his back turned, so the left tackle is going to be protecting his blind side, and he's very valuable because that's the side you want a really good tackle to be at. You want him protecting your quarterback because you don't want your quarterback getting hit blind. That's why left tackles get paid so much more than right tackles. And I don't know how. I mean, like I said, I gotta figure out how to assign. And it is a thing. I mean, blocking differently when you're blocking from the left, you have to. Your coordination is to the left, which means you got to have a strong left side, which makes you a lot more rare, right? Because you're trying to keep guys from getting around you. Typically, keeping them from going in the inside of you is easier, but you've got to have the ability to back up. And your left side has to be the side, your dominant side, so you can keep guys off from getting around you. And you got to be quick to the left, which again is kind of just off. So you're basically looking for rarer people who have a rarer muscle body strength because left-handedness or left-sidedness is more rare. So they pay more for guys that are good at that position. There's more good right tackles than there are good left tackles. So thus, they pay better. But you really think about it, it's relative. Anybody can be a left tackle, and because it's a more important position, you get paid more. But you know, there's still only so many players in the league. That's like, I don't know. That's I don't know how detailed I want to be. Because my positions don't go down to that level. I've got defensive line. And then I've got linebackers and cornerbacks. I don't have by position, but I should by position. Long snappers. I wasn't even thinking about long snappers. They do safety separate. Kickers. It's crazy. Running backs get paid really crappy. I didn't realize how poorly they were paid. Really, 2 million a year. That's it. Now, of course, the best ones get paid way more than that. I think the the problem is only the elites get paid a certain amount, right? So an elite running back is probably getting paid more than an elite defensive end, I would think. But I think the average, because the people who are these guys here are in the trenches as well. You've got the defensive ends and the tackles are players in the trenches. They get pretty high averages because they're in the trenches and they have shorter careers. But I think the elite players at positions like cornerback and running back are probably getting paid more, but there's not as many of them that are elite. Most guys kind of fall in that, yeah, do the job. Cornerback to me is really important, though. I think that's like, if you can't cover, that's like huge. But the thing is, it's just not as rough on the player. And that's probably why they can have longer careers if they can keep up with players and not get burned. But let's see here. It's kind of a change of paradigm for me if I actually go down to the level of creating salaries. If I create salaries for every position type, that means I've got to actually assign players to positions. Now you can move them if their skills and stats meet your criteria. Huh. Actually not right. So this is QB. We're going to do 9,000. And all right, let's do it. We'll try and put him in. We'll see what happens. Left tackle. I got to figure out how I'm going to do that though. I also need to put in actual game names for the teams because right now it's using dummy game names. I don't want dummy game names. I got to put the actual game names. It's going to take a while, so bear with me while I do this. Right tackle. Safety. Okay, so why is safety general different from strong safety and free safety? I think 5.8. They have linebacker. Oh, so they do it by group. If I wanted to do it by group. You know what? I really feel like look at the difference. 3.4 versus inside outside are 5. Okay, so outside linebackers make average of 5 million. Inside linebackers make 4 million. But just generally they only make 3.4 million. What is that seems like you know what? I'm gonna let's go talk to Gemini. Let's see what Gemini's opinion on all this is. I don't know where they get their stats, to be honest. But they don't get the same numbers, as you can well see. Hey, I watched this show, by the way, Alien Resident. It's actually pretty funny. It's kind of funny. This show's supposed to end, and they were closing it with, I liked it. I thought it was good. It's funny because it ended with a cliffhanger, and it was supposed to not end with a cliffhanger. And I was like, wait a minute, I thought they were closing this off. Inside bidding war for weapons. I don't know what weapons is. Is that a movie? Oh, he was. I thought that show got canceled. He got killed. It was a good movie though, a good series. All right, anyway, all right. I know I'm getting distracted. Let's go Gemini. This is what you get with me sometimes. Sometimes I'm on the Gemini. No, wait. There's a Bitcoin credit card. Wait, what? What? Wait, what? I don't know what the heck that is. Gemini AI. I don't know what that was. All right, let's see here. Most people are saying ChatGPT 5 is no good. Is it true? I think I tried to use it because it is on Copilot, but I mean, I was only asking it questions. I didn't really try anything significant. Just did the same thing. Did I not? Am I not wording this well? I don't want by position. What are the average NFL salaries per year? I says, while specific average salaries fluctuate constantly due to contracts. Here's, oh, how about average for the 2025 season or 20? Do we know the 2025 season? I mean, we don't really know that, right? Because players are probably still getting negotiated. All right. This is only doing max. You know, average may not be that great. I just really need a min and a max. You know what? I'm going to change my thing. It's kind of crazy, but I want to have a min and a max. It's probably going to be in line with whatever the min and the max was for that season. But the problem with using min and max is the min can change when the NFL just changes. You know, each year it could kind of tweak a little bit. And then max could change a lot, right? So one year it's 50 million for a quarterback. The next year it's 70 million. So it's going to tweak everybody's potential amount when they come into the season. I'm thinking about seeding player names or somehow identifying a player with their year. when a player comes into the league. So it's like if I have Peyton Manning from 2015, the Super Bowl year, and Peyton Manning from 2013, the Super Bowl year that was very bad Super Bowl, the not good Super Bowl year, but fantastic year for Peyton Manning, right? I mean, he broke every record in the league and it still owns half those records, if not most of them. But how would I put Peyton Manning in for those 2 seasons? Now, it's not going to be Peyton Manning. It's not going to look like him. It won't be his name, technically. It'll be some other name. But I still like to link them to the original player so people can kind of go, ooh, that must be so-and-so because so-and-so, so-and-so. So what do I seed? What if I seeded with, I can't seed with a number. Obviously, you can't put a number in a name. And since I'm only using the 2000s right now, adding a T to everybody wouldn't make much sense, right? 2000, whatever. I could add like a letter representing the last two numbers, like 09 would be have to put a Z in everybody's name. How about just 9? And then in the teens, I would do like 11, an E, a T for 12. How would you do 13? Peyton Manning played in the early years as well as the latter years, so I could still end up with the same name. I'm trying to figure out how to seed the names with something extra. It'll be a secret seed, so if you're here on this discussion and I come up with a solution, you'll know what the secret seed is. But I'm trying to figure out how do I seed the player names that when I'm creating the anagrams for the players. So how do I do anagrams for players when you have 1,500 names? I need a bulk anagram creator. I need to somehow create a tool that I can run a bunch of names through and have anagrams created for each one. And then I just have to accept them. Because what am I going to do? Go through 1,400 names? Yikes. 1,400 names a year? They're just going to be some weird... I don't want them to be scrambled, but they got to be kind of names. Let's see. Anagram name generator. Let's see, anagram dictionary. I don't want it to be just words. I want it to be names. Using an anagram generator to find name suggestions. An anagram is where you take a phrase or name and rearrange letters to come up with a new name. Tool for creative name transformations. Unleash the branding potential of your name with the tool. Anagram Maker generates unique anagrams from any two names entered. Brand names. Usernames. Create unique personalized usernames using your own name. Nope. Name Combiner. Blend two names into one with our name mixing tool. Brand names. Team names. Effortlessly convert your name into a unique team name. Generates unique anagrams from any two names entered. Book titles. This is kind of cool. A set of tools to help you create names for various purposes. Diminutive generator using your given name. Thing is, I need to figure out a way to do something like this. I need to figure out a way to do something like this in bulk. And I may have to create a tool that does this. Now, some people, some games use real names and just do basic things. Like they'll just scramble names. So they'll take all the names in the league and maybe keep their first name and scramble the last names. Everybody gets a different last name. It could be like there'll be Peyton Sanders, who could be Peyton Manning, but he's a different last name. That's an interesting way to do it. Take all the names in the league. And it's like, what do you do with you got Anton Randall Al? So it's Anton, and somebody could be getting the Randall, and somebody else get the Al, so we could Peyton Al. Cal Al is my guy, right? Ka-Al. I have a game tag that I use called Ka-Al. It's like Kal-Al, except I took the L off, so it's just Ka-Al. You know, so it's Superman without the L. I got me some new Superman Hot Wheels. Can you see that? It's probably not letting you see it because my thing is cutting it out. See? That's one. I said Hot Wheels, but I actually got 3. Got this one. I'm a Superman fan, man. You didn't. In case you haven't noticed, I'm frequently wearing Broncos or Superman stuff. This is the other one I got. The car. Oh wait, no, that's the van I just had. Where's the car? Oh, the car's up there. Oh no, it's not back here. I have the car from Action Comics #1. They just came out with it a couple of years ago, but I wanted to create a miniatures model. I have a Superman figure that looks like he's holding something up because he's supposed to be part of a game or a Hot Wheels racetrack thing. It's called Bridge. What is it? Bridge Collapse or Hot Wheels Bridge Collapse something. Superman's holding up the bridge though, and it looks like he's keeping it from falling and a car can go over the top kind of thing. But this is the track. So Superman's supposed to stay on this little knobby here, and then you wind this up. And it goes back and forth. And when you shoot a car over, it flies Superman, like it looks like he's letting the car drive over the top. It's like saving the car from blowing up. It's kind of funny. I'm not totally sure how that works though. I mean, it did work. I did try it. It worked pretty good, actually. But I would imagine if you time it wrong, you crash into the thing. But it does have a car that that you can save it. I don't know. I don't know if it goes. Maybe you're supposed to go in this way, because it sits on the thing, and then it goes up, and Superman lifts him over the top, like that. I don't know. It's kind of goofy, but really all I wanted it was for the Superman car, the Superman figure. And then I found the Action Comics #1 car, so I'm going to use that Superman that's holding something up. He looks like the guy almost the same position as Superman is in Superman Comics Action Comics #1, where he's holding up the green car. So I have the green car, and I'm going to create a model that puts the green car up, and he's holding it up just like he does in that comic. And I'm going to try to put some kind of a background that kind of looks like the comic. And I'm going to create a 3D recreation of it out of the little Superman in the car. So maybe I'll stream that when I do it, but I don't know, probably sometime soon, because I have it sitting on my little craft desk here. I got to create a bulk name generator though. Let's go see what this Usernames, team names, brand names, gamer tags, clan names, blog names. That's name combined. I don't think that's going to work. I am trying to think of ways to give all the players different names. And have them all keep their first name maybe, and then just tweak their last names. Maybe anagrams is not a good way to go. For the teams, that works. For the players, that's going to be really hard. I need something quick and simple, where I just scramble their last names. Maybe that's what I'll do for 1,400 players. And that means every year I probably won't need to even mess with the year seed, because Peyton Manning from 2013 might be Peyton Johnson, and in 2015 he's Peyton blah blah blah. And I don't know, Peyton Thompson, something like that. The odds of him becoming Peyton Manning is pretty rare, pretty unlikely if I just scramble the last names of 1,400 people. Some guys might get similar names. It'd be pretty hard to do. How many Johnsons are there even in the... I mean, what are the most common last names? Like Johnson and... Jones? Is there even that many Jones? Keeping up with the Joneses? And what is the... Doe? Doe is not even a name, right? John Doe is usually an unknown name, but it's not an actual name somebody uses. How many people have... How would you like to have a name John Doe? That'd be great. Yeah, I'm thinking I might have to do that. That might simplify things. I'll just scramble last names. People can figure out based... Or do I scramble first names? Ooh, that'd be really weird, huh? It'd be... Bo Manning. You wouldn't know who it is. Is it Bo Nix or is it Bo... Is it Bo Nix or is it Peyton Manning? Bo Manning. They didn't play in the league together, so they would never be that. But I'm just saying, some players, if you... Every season, they would be some kind of a scramble to their name. But something would be consistent. Either their last name or their first name. And they're all just scrambling the players in the league. I think that might work. Still not their name. And I don't have their likeness, so whatever. Could make it a little simpler, just scramble it by team. That's a little too close, right? Because each team's only got, what, 45 players? You scramble the 45 names. Probably somebody would end up with their actual last name. But if I do it by the whole league... It might be trickier to know sometimes. Like a name like Bo is pretty easy, right? Bo Nix, you're gonna know who Bo is because there's not that many Bo's in the league. But or Nix, if you use last names, even Nix. But I wonder if it'd be interesting to assemble the teams as their actual teams and see what their salaries are after I calculate all their salaries. Who has the truly most expensive? Because I'm not using salaries that they're actually getting paid. I'm calculating their salaries based on their skills. It'll be interesting to see how a team actually comes together. Like if I wanted to see what is the Broncos based on skills of their players, what is their actual salary? And how many teams actually have salaries that are above and beyond, or how many teams have salaries, you know. It's going to be rare, I think, that anybody actually hits a salary cap, to be honest. I may have to lower the salary cap, even if I use actual min-maxes. Because in the NFL, you've got a lot of players who get paid way out of their skill level, right? I mean, you compare two guys, they're both really good, but one guy is probably not as good as the other. And if you base it on their skills, one guy might be getting X million, and another guy is getting Y million, there may be a pretty big gap between these guys. And if I'm ranging them between the max salary and the min salary, a lot of players aren't going to be at the max, and a lot of players aren't going to be at the min, and there'll be a lot of range in the middle. And ultimately, I think a lot of teams are going to be way lower than the salary cap. I may have to lower the salary cap or increase the average salaries, or increase the salaries, just to have. If I would have to create another scale system that generates an average that falls into a certain zone. So, like, if you're below a certain point, if you're below half, maybe your range is, I don't know. There has to be some kind of a logic that helps me to force an average. It would be a different kind of thing. Because if I have a min and a max, I don't think all players are going to fall in there. Like, you might have the top 3 guys all making about the same amount, but they may not actually be that equally good. So only the top guy actually gets that money in a skill base. And those other guys who really didn't deserve it, but, say, hey, I'm not going to play unless you give me the same amount that guy got, may actually get less. Now, in time, these players in my league may actually want more salary because I'm going to have logic in it that says, hey, this guy wants to make as much as this guy. You know what his value is. This is what he wants. You have to decide if you're going to give it to him. And how badly do teams want to pay what these guys want? And that's how I'll probably do it. I'll probably have rules that say this is what you think his value is, but this is what he wants. And then you decide how much you want to pay. What's the gap there, and what's your logic? And so the value system may be actually based on their skills, and his desire may be actually based on what the league is paying, and you got to decide, can you afford it? So I'm thinking everybody's going to have extra room on their salary cap to start because of just the way teams are. And I may actually lower the starting salary cap for building a team once I realize this. I have a feeling it's going to be like that. We're going to actually have teams that your salary cap, you're not going to hit it to start. So yeah, I am probably going to have. I'm really shaping this up a lot in my head. I think I pretty much know how a lot of this is going to go. But I think what's going to happen is you're going to draft 24 players. You get to pick the first 25 players, maybe you draft them because you need all those players. Or maybe even you just pick. You can pick however many you want, but it'll auto draft whatever you choose not to draft. Maybe you've decided, okay, I've drafted X number of players, let the computer do the rest. I'll probably give everybody 5 players to start in their collection. Everybody else gets earned. So maybe the first 5 players you draft will be your collection players. Or maybe you can assign I'm trying to decide how to do the collection stuff. Do I want to give experience? Well, I am going to give experience, but I'm just saying, how do I give you your initial players? I want you to have players in your collection to start. I guess I need feedback. I need to get to the point where I've got 5,000 people on here so I can get some feedback. Because I'm trying to decide what would be the preferred way to earn your first guys. Get some, like the first, I want to give you guys in your collection right away 5, but if I just give you 5 random ones, and those are your guys, or maybe the first 5 guys you pick for your first team, so they're probably pretty good because they're better players, and probably going to be getting a lot of playtime, or give you enough experience to level up 5 guys to level 1. So you can just pick any guys on your team, but you can only pick guys on your team. And then in the future, do I give you just bulk experience that you can assign to whatever players you want on your team for rewards, extra experience? Most guys are going to earn it just from playing, but you may want to add a certain guy to your. Maybe he's your favorite guy, but he's, you really want this backup guy like on your team. You just really want him, but you can't play him. He's not good as these other guys. He's not playing as well, but you want him in your collection. So you want to get him up to level 1 or 2 or whatever. And the way you have to do that if you can't play him is to boost him somehow. So I might give some maybe some general experience so you can push guys as rewards for accomplishing certain things, and you can increase the general collection. I think that might be the best way. Because players that play a lot will end up in your collection, so you'll end up with a lot of them. But sometimes people want, they have a relative who's in the league. They really want to collect him. They've got their favorite guy from college is on a team, but they can't. They drafted him, but he's not. He's not that great. You don't really want him on your team. You don't want him starting, but you kind of want him in your collection, and you want to be able to build him up and have that cool player. So, and granted, I have to figure out a way to make sure that you know who you're linking to. What is the truth of a player? You may know who a player is, but there has to be a way to know, right? Who that player is, because they don't look like the player and their names aren't right. Now, the first names might match, their stats might match, but what points them? If I was going to do an anagram, it's pretty easy. You just have to unscramble the anagram and you know exactly who it is. If it's scrambled names, if one guy's name is Tom and another guy's name is Tom, and they're both quarterbacks, well, if they have scrambled last names, you don't know which one is Brady, right? You want Brady because whatever, but you're like, which of these guys? Well, this guy has a higher salary. It's probably him, but you don't know because there's no attachment, and it's based on their skills. Is their skills? So maybe he's got the higher skills, but there could have been two decent quarterbacks. Tom Brady's years aren't all great, so you could end up with two guys that are Tom Brady, mediocre year, and Tom something else from a great year, and you still wouldn't really know which one is Tom Brady because the names don't really point them out. Now, if you know what team a player is drafted to, I don't know, was Tom Brady drafted as a Patriot? Did he start there? Was he a rookie on the Patriots? That might be a way of knowing because their character would have their mascot appearance would be that of the team they were a rookie on. So like John Elway, if he was in, he won't be in this initial builds, but he was drafted by the Colts. So he would actually be the Colt mascot, whatever the Colts are. I don't know. I have to look at my mascot randomizer. But he would be whatever the Colt mascot is, but he was playing for the Broncos for pretty much his entire career. He did not want to play for the Colts and got himself traded to Broncos and was a Bronco for life, which is cool. It's cool to have a player that actually plays for his entire 16, 17, 18 years career on the same team. That rarely happens. How many players have had entire careers on the same team that have, more than 15 seasons? I'd say almost none. Let's ask Copilot, just because it's sitting right here. How many players with more than 14 seasons played their entire career on the same team? As of the end of 2024, at least 20 players have played 15 or more seasons entirely with one franchise, and several of them have played more than 14 seasons with the same team. These players are rare and often revered for loyalty and consistency. Most are kickers, linemen, or defensive back, positions with longer career longevity. Quarterbacks like Roethlisberger are exceptions, showing that even high-impact roles can stay put. Roethlisberger played 18 years with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Wow. That's impressive. How about players that were drafted by other teams but only played for one team? I know, because this puts Elway in the picture. There's not very many players. Look at that. That was pretty good. John Elway is the most famous of those players. Oh, no. Eli did it. Steve Young did it. Phillip Rivers. These are all really well-known players. It must just be well-known. Never signed with the Colts and was traded immediately, so he qualifies too. Phillip Rivers technically drafted by the Giants, but never played for them. Okay. Why does Dickerson count? That's a fascinating subset of NFL players who were drafted by one team but never played a single snap for them, instead spending their entire career with a different franchise. Eric Dickerson, it says, played for multiple teams, so that's not with one franchise. The Rivers, Steve Young, Eli, those are big names, though. Well, I did say for, they had to have a certain amount of years, but... I do plan to put loyalty into my game. And that will be players that have played for, I'll be able to tell at least up to that point what their loyalty state is, right? So number of years with the same franchise, they get loyalty points. Even rookies. I can do rookies because, especially early season rookies, right? Because I'll know which ones are still with those teams or which ones played X number of seasons. And they'll get loyalty points for more than X. Loyalty just means they're less likely to leave in the event of, negotiations. They may want certain things, but they might be easier to convince to take less. Okay. Those are some really big names. There's got to be other players, but they probably just don't. Steve Young played briefly for the Bucks, but spent full NFL prime with 49ers. That's not. So Eli and John Elway were the only ones, really. That's kind of funny. Eli and Phillip were the ones that were traded. Draft day trade, never played for Chargers. Traded for Eli on draft day. So the Giants took Eli, and the Chargers took Phillip Rivers. They were both great for their teams. Is Phillip Rivers retired though, didn't he? He's done. Pretty sure. He probably retired recently, but Eli retired a while back. So they came in on the same day, but Phillip Rivers, maybe they retired the same year. Gosh, has it been that long? When did Eli retire? Did Eli retire gosh, what was it? Has it been that long? He retired after his brother, right? Because he was younger. So I think he probably got 2 or 3 more years out of him. But Eli was on the cusp of getting cut He actually ended up getting cut or released, and he just nobody wanted him after he got cut. A lot of people thought he should have got cut a lot sooner. He actually was not as good as Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers was a better quarterback. Just Eli had flashes of greatness, flashes of success, and usually just had good teams. John Elway was a very consistent player, very good. Not He had greatness at times, but I don't know that John Elway was ever. I don't know. I mean, I'm a Bronco fan, right? So he did great things for Denver. He won 2 Super Bowls at the end of his career. Great way to finish. But he might be a top 10 all-time quarterback, but he's like Tom Brady to me. He's a guy who did really good, did some great things, but to be honest, I don't think he. I honestly believe that between John Elway and Tom Brady, they're both overhyped. John Elway was good, and people don't give him as much credit as they used to, but just because they're finally starting to realize that perhaps he was overrated. He had some greatness about him. He did some amazing things, and as far as comebacks and focus and being able to do that, I mean, he was Montana level, that kind of thing. But Tom Brady's the same kind of thing. I mean, statistically speaking, he played for a long time, but I think if you look at his averages, not counting Super Bowl wins because that's all anybody looks at for some bizarre reason, and that's not even him, right? You don't win a Super Bowl by yourself. You might be an important, integral part of that, but you're not the guy winning the Super Bowl. You have an entire team doing that. So John Elway, Tom Brady, the best player statistically, I believe, QB averages. Averages to me matter more than 1, 2, 3 great seasons. You know, I don't care if you had 10 great seasons. If you played for 20 and you had 10 okay seasons and 10 great seasons, okay. But if you had 20 very good seasons, to me that's almost better. And great seasons. The New Orleans Saints had, I have Phillip Rivers on the brain right now, and it isn't Phillip Rivers. It's my brain froze. Okay. Drew Brees. Drew Brees was, I'm telling you, man, Drew Brees was the best. Look at his stats. Look at his career. If he didn't play for such a bad defense, they would have had Super Bowls up the wazoo just like Tom Brady. But they just couldn't quite ever consistently have a good defense. And he had scoring down. He had everything. He just had it all. His offense, they could make any game look interesting, even when they weren't. If it wasn't for their terrible defenses over the years, the Saints would have had boat tons of Super Bowl victories, or at least boat ton of Super Bowl appearances. You never know. Super Bowls are one of those things that it could go any direction. Things just happen. Good luck, bad luck. Things fall apart. All right, so let's finish getting these in. Google Gemini didn't really help me much, but I am going to go with Max's, I think, at positions. They didn't really help me. This position continues to be the most lucrative in the NFL. The top tier quarterbacks. Wide receiver. Other keeps offensive tackle. Protecting the quarterback blind side is a premium skill. The top offensive tackles. See the averages. So okay, so the average left tackle makes more money than the average quarterback, right? So the average quarterback salaries. But at the high end, it's not even close, right? Because quarterbacks make a lot more at the high end, the best players. But the question is, how I'm trying to figure out how to do salaries. Because there should be a drop off between starters and second stringers, right? But there should be a top tier gap. Like the guys at the top range have a much larger salary. So I almost need like a elite salary range and an everybody else salary range. Like everybody else salary range might be the average, and then the elite is a range that's between average is the lowest, and so you take the top X and they're considered elite, so their range is higher. Allowing for higher numbers for the best players. So like take the top 10% and put them in the elite group, and everybody else is the not not elite group. Maybe you scale all the rest on the average. So the elite group gets to all be in this range, and everybody else is average to the lower range. So I almost need a range. I think I do. I want to have something where the elites can be higher salary. Everybody gets, all the best players get crammed into this higher salary range. The highest salaries in the NFL dominated by a few key positions, quarterbacks leading the way. So like I could put guys in the quarterback gap. The importance of this of the position and the limited number of elite players drive these astronomical figures. Typically, how many players at each position would be considered elite? Thus earning the positional equivalent of elite salary. So I have 10 players. One to 5. Running backs and QBs only have one real elite, one real star per team, but so is it different by position? Let's see what they say. The concept of elite is relative to position's role and number of players who can perform at that level. A good way to think about this is by considering the difference between a starter and an elite player. The starter versus an elite player distinction. Starter. Most positions have 1 or 2 starters per team with 32 teams in the NFL. That means there are 32 starting quarterbacks, about 64 starting wide receivers, blah, 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 blah. Elite. An elite player is one who stands heads and shoulders above the rest. These are the players who are consistently selected for the Pro Bowl teams. They are considered game changers and are often in the conversation for being best of their position in the entire league. The number of elite players at a given position is much smaller than the number of starters. Yes, while there are 32 starting quarterbacks, only a handful are truly considered elite. Quarterbacks, starters, 32. Elite, typically only 5 to 8 players are considered truly elite. Running backs, 32, one or sometimes 2 per team, but 1 primary back. Elite, the running back position of one most physically demanding and has a shorter career span. The number of players considered elite is small, perhaps 3 to 5. These are players who can be a focal point of an offense and are considered. Wide receivers, around 64. The number of elite wide receivers is larger than at other positions, perhaps 10 to 15. This is because many different skill sets can be considered elite. Threat burner, possession. The mark for top receivers has exploded recently with players like... So that's interesting. I think I'm going to consider elites. And I'm trying to figure out the number of players that would be considered elite. And then I'm going to allow for elite salaries to be the range for the people who fall into the elite categories. This allows me to put the higher salaries in there and not just base it on averages. And then everybody who falls outside of the elite salary range is going to be considered just normal range. So what we'll take there is I'll probably have to do something along the lines of making the minimum elite salary less some big chunk. And then everybody else just gets averaged in there from minimum to that. So everybody else just kind of gets that scattered smaller zone. Like maybe I'll drop X amount off for an elite salary. I'm kind of trying to build a salary structure that allows for me to determine when a player is considered elite. If their stats fall into a certain range, they get to be considered elite for the players. And because I want to be able to identify when a player is considered, ready to be top tier. Be right back. All right. What time is it? I've got about 10 minutes left on this stream. I'll probably be back tonight again. I'm always back at night. Maybe I stream. Maybe not. We'll see. There's a lot of... it kind of depends. I have to feel like I'm getting work done, and obviously I'm not getting as much as I can done because I'm doing a lot of research right now. So you're catching me in my research mode to determine how I want to do this stuff. I think I'm going to have to position... How about position elite salary? Okay. And then I'm going to have to... what I'm thinking about doing is... at the drop-off point of elite salaries to the rest of the leagues are drop-off point of elite salaries to the rest of the league are salary. Is it reasonable to say that players get paid on a range of league minimum to the overall average as the max? Overall average for their position as the max? Or is it less dramatic than that? It's absolutely reasonable to say that the salary structure is a wide chasm with a small number of players at the top, a much larger group in the middle, and then significant number of players at or near the league minimum. The overall average for a position is often skewed upward by the few players with mega deals, making it an unrealistic target for most of the league. Here's a breakdown of the salary distribution from elite tiers to the minimum wage players. The salary curve, a steep drop-off. Think of the salary distribution for a position like long-tailed curve. The vast majority of players are clustered at the lower end of the pay scale, while a very small number of players create a huge spike at the high end. Starter tier, the middle. This is a large group of players who are solid, reliable players. They are good players, but not considered elite. But a significant drop from the elite tier. For example, a good starting offensive lineman might earn 8 to 15 million a year with a which is a great salary, but far cry from the 25 plus at the very top. Role players and depth, the base. This group makes a large group with a 53-man roster. They are typically backups, special teams contributors, rotational players. Their salaries are often in the low millions, dropping off to players on rookie contracts or veteran minimums. This is the bottom of the pay scale. The league minimum salary is determined by player. The league minimum for first year in which team increases experience. Many players on this roster, on the roster, especially rookie, and those struggling to stick with a team will be making this amount or close to it. A concrete example of quarterbacks. Let's use the quarterback position to illustrate. Elite salary. A player like Dak Prescott or Joe Burrow has a 55 million. And was that an average annual value of 55 million? Value. Dak Prescott is he even on a team right now? Didn't he get cut or something? I don't even know who he's playing for right now. Joe Burrow, I know, is playing for the Bengals still. Has an AAV of 55 plus million. Average salary for the overall average for a starting quarterback might be skewed upward to something like 15 to 20 million. It's actually not. The average is 9 million. So I think it's reasonable to assume that all other players would fall into a range of the average, which is here's the median. I think my logic actually works. Because if elite is up here, whatever they are, and then their median salary, which is the average, because the average I've got here, it says 8 to 12 million, so that's actually pretty good. But I'm thinking I'm going to build them off the average. I'll have the elites at one point, and then I'll take the average salary, whatever that is, and have that be the max for all other players. Or maybe I'll add 2 million to the average. Just an adjustment, just like a little bit more. So while the elite salaries are in the tens of millions, a significant portion of the league is making a fraction of that, with many players on the bubble earning near the league minimum. And I think if I do it that way, like I said, a lot of guys won't be getting this, but it also means I won't be having a bunch of guys that fall in between the high end, because there might be guys. I mean, if you take the top 10 players and call them elite, and maybe the top 5 at running back, top X, you just say wide receiver elite level. So you take the top, and you give them an elite salary. And then at everybody else gets to fall into what I'd call the also rans, the everybody else's. And their skills and stats will be based on the league average plus maybe 2 or 3 million. I'll have to decide how I want to do that. Because this says 8 to 12. While according to my previous logic, this thing has quarterback. Well, see, again, it's hard to do. Why is Dak Prescott getting 60 million? I didn't even realize. I thought he was like moved on. Okay, so here we go. These are what the average players are making. You got left tackle, you got quarterback making about 5 million here, which I think is weird. I don't think that's right. Because quarterback 5.9, I don't know what that means. Left tackle. There's some weird stuff here. 34. Quarterback 34 million. Per player average. That's not even right. 34 million? That's not right. Per player averages, most positions make sense. That still doesn't seem right. Because it's more than that. Well, okay, maybe it's not. I feel like it's not right. Left tackle's around 9 million. What did Copilot tell me? Okay, I don't know. I guess I'm giving too much credence to Copilot, but so Copilot has left tackles making around 10 million, 9 million. And left tackle here is about 9 million. That works. Okay, so we're fairly close, right? But quarterback here is only around 5 million. Here's like 9 million. So in 2024, 2025, is it right? I mean, it could be right. If you really think about it. Average salary 2024 per player. I don't know how they do that because I don't know where they're getting their numbers from. It's really hard to get. Gemini gives a weird chart. I don't like Gemini's logic. Gemini just doesn't even give you a chart. It just gives you blah. It's not good. This is just text. It's not even a table. It does give me a pretty decent distinction between players. Wide receiver. I do like that it's giving me some numbers. The number of, this is because many different skill sets. So I have to figure out a good logic for some of these positions, but I will. I mean, I got to figure out what there's a combination of speed and hands for receivers, right? Those are two big things. Well, some guys are way faster. Some guys are better receivers. But, they may not be as fast. So I'll have to figure out a way to get those two guys kind of an elite salary combination. So I got to balance out the speed factor with the hands factor in a way that allows players to get paid based on what they can do for a team, right? Other positions, offensive line, tight end, etc. Starters, many more. 5 elite. The number of elite players at these positions are generally smaller, perhaps 3 to 8 for each, which there are 160 starting offensive linemen in the league, so 5 per team. Only a handful are consistently dominant enough to be considered elite. In short, the number of players considered elite and earning elite salaries is directly related to position scarcity and importance. The QB position is clearly the highest, but still a small exclusive group that commands the top tier contracts. And this is me trying to decipher what the league minimum is versus. I think I want to come up with some logic that's pretty consistent. Um, so I've got to come up with a zone that puts a player into the elite status. And then something I can calculate off of on future games, future logic. It'll be interesting to see. So I think some players will excel and they'll get better and better and better throughout the season, and they'll thus have better and better stats as the leagues progress. But doesn't necessarily mean they're going to stay there, but they have that potential. Okay, that's it for now. This is my planning session. I will be getting some coding done. As you saw, I started adding some things, but I do think I have to redirect a little bit on how my logic's going to be on this. I think ultimately my logic is going to have to be something in the middle where I'm giving credit to players. I want to have a range, but I also don't want it to be an even range, because there is a significant. I mean, this is the norm, right? So, in the NFL, and this goes for pretty much everything. You know, it's like any job, right? You go to a company, you got the peons. The average salary at a company could be. They usually do it by position, but you say like for a developer, right? You've got a developer who's the elite, the dev fives. They're probably making $200 and some $1,000 or more. But you also have a lot more. You have a lot of the lower level guys that are probably making a fifth of that. You know, they're making $80,000 at the bottom. And then you've got everybody else who falls in there, and they're probably doing at best 150,000, maybe. And then you've got the middle tier kind of starters who maybe get close to 200,000, but they're probably more like 180. And then you've got, like I said, the top tier guys making 250 or more. So there's a big jump. It goes like 80 to 100 to 120. So you're talking about $20,000 jumps until you hit the top tier, and they jump up like 50,000. And that goes for like a lot of jobs. And then if you look at it overall, like the QBs at a company are the CEOs, and the elites might be everybody on the board of directors of a company, and they're making the big bucks, relatively speaking, the millions. And you can't like average them out over the entire group, but if you actually looked at it on a national basis, not all CEOs or board of directors are considered elite. They're just starters. They're the guys that are, they're all across the board. Some of them are maybe making 100,000s, that kind of range, maybe $1 million, but they're not making billions and trillions, like the big top dogs. Okay, that's it for now. Till next